Hello everyone. Welcome back. This is 𝐲𝐻𝐞𝐞. I'll be your instructor for today's session. In this lecture, we'll be talking about inter-VPC peering connection. So guys, our objective is to interconnect to different VPC with the help of peering connection, and we have to communicate in between the two VPCs. We want to exchange data from one VPC to another VPC. That's our objective. So this we'll see a little bit background about VPCs. तो थोड़ा सा हम लोग है ना फंडामेंटल लेवल के ऊपर VPCs को समझ के देखते हैं कि VPC एग्जैक्टली क्या होता है और फिर हम लोग थोड़ा सा हाई लेवल के ऊपर डिग इन करते हैं. So we'll be talking about VPC first. As of now, if you are here into this lecture, you are watching VPC peering connection, तो एक बात तो फिक्स है, आप जानते हो VPC क्या होता है. VPC एग्जैक्टली होता है एक वर्चुअल नेटवर्क. इसका फुल फॉर्म है वर्चुअल प्राइवेट नेटवर्क. So VPC stands for virtual private cloud. Okay. So at this point in time, we know VPC is a virtual network of AWS. This is a virtual network in AWS. तो ये जो आपका EC2 इंस्टेंस होता है, जो आपका वर्चुअल मशीन होता है, उसे हम EC2 इंस्टेंस कहते हैं. तो यहाँ पे हमारी वर्चुअल मशीन, तो ये अपनी वर्चुअल मशीन है. ये वर्चुअल मशीन जिस नेटवर्क से कनेक्ट होती है, ये आपका VPC. तो अगर ये वर्चुअल मशीन किसी और वर्चुअल मशीन के साथ कम्युनिकेट करना चाहती है, तो ये मशीन सेम VPC से कनेक्ट होनी चाहिए. Say VM1 wants to talk to VM2, these virtual machines should connect to the same VPC. Whereas you can introduce internet as well. So just imagine this cloud is internet for us. So you can even have internet connectivity inside your VPC. So at this point in time, we all know VPC is a virtual network. Simple है. VPC क्या है? VPC एक वर्चुअल नेटवर्क है जिसको आप अपने EC2 इंस्टेंस कनेक्ट कर सकते हो. इस VPC में आपके इंस्टेंस कम्युनिकेशन कर सकते हैं एक दूसरे के साथ. वो इंटरनेट एक्सेस कर सकते हैं. ठीक है. आपके VPNs और जो भी आपके कम्युनिकेशन के जो भी टेक्नोलॉजीज होंगे, उन सब के लिए चाहिए कि आप VPC सेटअप करो आपके AWS अकाउंट के ऊपर. अभी VPC के बारे में हमने ऑलरेडी एक लाइव सेशन किया था जिसमें हमने डिस्कस किया था कि VPCs जो होते हैं उनमें आपको नेटवर्क इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जैसे कि कौन सा राउटर, कौन सा स्विच, ठीक है, कौन से फायरवॉल्स, इन सब चीजों की प्लानिंग, इन सब चीजों की परचेसिंग कुछ करने की जरूरत नहीं होती. अंडरलाइंग इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो है वो Amazon प्रोवाइड करता है. तो आपका नेटवर्क इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में आपकी प्लानिंग, डिजाइनिंग, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन, परचेसिंग, कॉस्ट, ये सारी चीजें एलिमिनेट हो जाती है. आप सिर्फ क्या करने वाले हो, आप नेटवर्क की डिजाइन क्रिएट करने वाले हो. ठीक है. योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज टू जस्ट डिजाइन योर नेटवर्क in where you are going to plan things like which IP address are you going to use on your VPC. You're not going to plan things like what routers to buy, what switches to buy. You'll be planning about what are the IP addresses that you will be using in AWS for your EC2 instance. You'll be planning about which subnets should have access to internet, which subnets should be accessible over the VPN connection from on-premises. So these are things that you are going to plan. Okay. Hardware infrastructure and things like planning about performance, कितना throughput, कितने terabytes का throughput चाहिए आपके network में, that is not your requirement. That is something that you are not going to be responsible of. ठीक है. Amazon gives you infinite capacity in VPC. When we create a VPC, we don't need to mention कि कितना performance होगा, कितना network speed होगा. We don't need to do that thing. Okay. So as of now, we have seen like VPC क्या होता है, एक virtual network होता है Amazon में. ठीक है. अभी imagine करिए. Now, just imagine like here we have a virtual network over here. This is our VPC1. Okay, that's my VPC1. And I have one more VPC over here, VPC2. VPC2. So if I have a virtual machine in here, in VPC1, if there is my virtual machine VM1 over here, it will be able to talk to another virtual machine VM2 over here. VM2. So these machines can talk to each other because they belong to same VPC. But there is a problem if they want to talk to another virtual machine VM3. Okay. VM3 is in a different VPC. So if there is a need that VM1 wants to talk to VM2, that's not going to happen. machines in between different VPCs don't talk to each other. Okay, so remember always, machines in the same VPC, वो virtual machines जो आपके same VPC में है, वो बिगर कोई प्रॉब्लम के एक दूसरे के साथ कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हैं। पर अगर आपके मशीन्स अलग वीपीसीज को बिलोंग करते हैं, दो डिफरेंट वीपीसीज को बिलोंग करते हैं, ये मशीन्स एक दूसरे के साथ कम्युनिकेट नहीं करने वाले। ठीक है, so remember, this is always going to be an important thing you need to remember, because VPCs are isolated, as we have already discussed in one of our previous lectures. Guys, anyways, I'll just recommend you, if you have not seen that earlier lecture, you can just find planning, building and implementing VPCs for enterprise productions. So there is a lecture on our channel. Okay, please go to that lecture, watch that lecture if you have not watched that one, and then come to this lecture. ठीक है, बिकॉज वीपीसीज को बहुत ही हाई लेवल के ऊपर हमने, एक्चुअली हाई लेवल नहीं बोल सकते, बहुत ही लो लेवल के ऊपर हमने डिस्कस किया है, बहुत डिटेल में डिस्कशन किया है वीपीसीज के ऊपर। तो अगर आप नहीं जानते हो वीपीसीज के फंडामेंटल्स को, डायरेक्टली आप इस लेक्चर में आए हो, तो पहले वो लेक्चर देख लेना, आपके लिए रियली इट इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू टू गो टू दैट लेक्चर एंड वॉच इट फर्स्ट। ओके, बट एनीवे, कमिंग टू आवर पॉइंट, VPC peering connection. So VPC peering connection requires you to have at least two VPCs. And today's lecture is peering connection. We'll be talking about peering, what is exactly it is. But in the previous lecture, we have already discussed about isolation of VPC. अब यहाँ पे दो VPCs है, दोनों isolated है, और हर एक VPC isolated होता है। आइसोलेशन का मतलब ये होता है कि एक VPC नहीं जानता है कि उसके अलावा और कितने VPCs हैं। यही हमने डिस्कस किया था पिछले लेक्चर में। ठीक है, तो VPC को नहीं पता कि उसके अलावा कितने और VPC है, उनके क्या नाम है, उनके कौन से IP एड्रेस है, वो कौन से रीजन में है, VPC डोंट नो। तो अगर मैं एक VPC बनाता हूँ अभी इन दिस केस, ओके, जैसे कि VPC 1 है मेरे पास, आई हैव VPC 1 हो गया। ठीक है, तो VPC 1 थिंक्स ही इज द ओनली VPC, ही हैज नो आइडिया कि एग्जैक्टली कोई और VPC एग्जिस्ट करता है। तो Amazon में कभी भी एक VPC बनाते हो ना, तो VPC समझता है कि वो अकेला है। It thinks like he's the only VPC in the entire AWS. He doesn't sees any other VPC. You can imagine like एक VPC blind होता है, ठीक है? VPC cannot see other VPCs. ऐसे समझो, that is the meaning of isolation. So in this case, VPC 1 cannot see VPC 2. VPC 2 either cannot see VPC 1. दोनों VPC एक दूसरे को देख नहीं सकते. तो obviously like how will one of the VPC forward traffic to another VPC? That is the point. Okay. So these virtual machines now, you can imagine like VM1 is in a locked room. VM2 is in a different locked room. VM3 is in a different locked room. So you can imagine like VM1, this VM1 and this VM2, they are in this locked chamber of VPC1. ये locked chamber में है ये दोनों virtual machines. Okay, clear? VM1, VM2 ये दोनों की दोनों locked chamber में है. Whereas VM3 जो है, this virtual machine, this is locked inside VPC2. This is another locked room. VM1 can see VM2 because they both belong to the same room. ये दोनों एक same कमरे में, VM1, VM2 ये एक कमरे में है. VM1 can see VM2. They both can see each other. They can both talk to each other. Whereas both of them, they cannot talk to VM3 because it is in a different VPC. It is in a different locked room. समझ में है ना? Because of which virtual machines that belong to different VPC, they don't talk to each other. If you want this communication to occur, so just imagine like you just want this communication to occur in between VM1 and VM3, you have to build a bridge in between the two VPCs. This bridge is known as VPC peering connection. VPC peering connection. Okay. So basically this bridge that connects two different VPCs together, it is known as VPC peering connection. Okay. So guys, if we build this bridge and if we configure all the required settings properly, these virtual machines will now be able to talk to each other. They can now quickly, easily talk to each other. So VM1 and VM3, they can talk to each other since like we have built the bridge in between both the VPCs. So guys, that is our objective today. We are going to build the VPC peering connection in between the VPCs. But for a minute, we'll be just understanding the technologies that came prior to this peering connection. What I mean to say, it was not that VPC peering connection was always there with the VPCs. Okay? It was a technology that was developed after quite a demand from the customers of AWS. तो पहले ये ब्रिज नहीं बना पाते थे आप। तो ये पेयरिंग कनेक्शन नाम का जो ब्रिज है, जो अभी हम लोग बहुत कन्वीनियंटली क्रिएट करेंगे और यूज करेंगे, पहले नहीं बनता था। और एनीवे, व्हाई डू यू वांट टू ब्रिज इन द फर्स्ट प्लेस? VPC1 एंड VPC2। अभी सोचिए 2 मिनट के लिए, जस्ट इमेजिन दिस वे। Okay, just imagine this way. There is this internet. Okay, there we have an internet. ये internet है। एक मिनट, I'll just erase the entire topology and rebuild this. Just 1 second. So here is my VPC1. So let's imagine that is our VPC1, VPC1. Okay, and here we have VPC2. Okay, that is my VPC2. And here we have two virtual machines that want to talk to each other. Here is my VM1. This is my VM1, and here we have VM2. So these are our respective virtual machine, VM1, and this is VM2. Okay, these both machines want to talk to each other. तो पहले peering connection नहीं बना पाते थे आप, so there was no such option to create peering connection in between VPCs. तो पहले peering connection नहीं बन पाता था, ही नहीं वो option, वो feature था ही नहीं। तो उस जमाने में हम लोग क्या करते थे, at that time we used to do is we used to connect these two VPCs to internet. Okay, and via internet these machines were able to talk to each other. So we need to have public IP address over here as well as a public IP over here. तो हमारे VM1 और VM2 को public IP देना होता था, and via internet these two machines were able to talk to each other. So guys, internet was the mediator. Internet बीच में mediator था. This cloud is our internet. ये internet है हमारे लिए. Okay, so cloud was internet. The cloud जो है, it is the internet, and internet is the mediator that connects our VPCs together. ठीक है? And VM1 created in one VPC can talk to VM2 in the other VPC. But like always, having internet connection to all your important servers is not the best idea. Internet is not a good place. Internet have hackers, there are viruses. Okay, so we don't expose our critical servers, important machines on the internet. जो ज्यादा important servers होते हैं, जहाँ पे आपके important applications है, जहाँ पे काफी ज्यादा important enterprise data है आपका, ठीक है, ऐसे machines को हम इंटरनेट के सामने नहीं रखते, इंटरनेट के पब्लिक आईपी एड्रेसेस इंटरनेट से डायरेक्ट कनेक्टेड नहीं रखते। ओके, सो दिस इज नॉट द बेस्ट सोल्यूशन। तो ये एक ऑप्शन था, अगर आप पियरिंग कनेक्शन नहीं करने वाले हो, VM1 VM2 के बीच कम्युनिकेट करना चाहते हो, तो ये एक ऑप्शन है आपके पास कि आप क्या कर सकते हो, वाया इंटरनेट VM1 VM2 को कम्युनिकेट करवा सकते हो। अब ये और भी डेंजरस हो जाता है जब आपके पास अनसिक्योर कम्युनिकेशन होने वाला है। अनसिक्योर कम्युनिकेशन मतलब जो आपकी ट्रैफिक है एक मशीन से दूसरे मशीन तक का जा रही है थ्रू द इंटरनेट, वो एक ऐसे प्रोटोकॉल के जरिए जा रही है जो इंटरप्ट नहीं कर रहा है आपके डेटा को, क्लियर टेक्स्ट में जा रही है आपकी ट्रैफिक, तो ये ज्यादा रिस्की और डेंजरस हो जाता है। तो VM1 VM2 के बीच में अनसिक्योर कम्युनिकेशन होना है, तो ये वाला तरीका तो एब्सोल्युटली लाइक अनसिक्योर तरीका है, ठीक है, कि आप इंटरनेट से अनसिक्योर ट्रैफिक को रूट करो फ्रॉम VM1 टू VM2। और उसमें भी आपके VM1 एंड VM2 both the virtual machines of both the different VPCs are exposed to internet. It's an absolutely unsecure design, ठीक है, not used by enterprise. Okay, so the other method was this कि हम लोग ये नहीं कर सकते, इंटरनेट से डायरेक्टली हमारे VPCs को कनेक्ट नहीं करेंगे। ओके, पब्लिक आईपी इन वर्चुअल मशीन्स को नहीं देंगे। नाउ वी वांट वर्चुअल मशीन्स, we want virtual machine 1 and VM2 to talk to each other using private IP. As well as private IP. तो मेरी रिक्वायरमेंट ये है VM1 should talk to VM2 with the help of a private IP. So guys, एक बार अगर प्राइवेट आईपी आप यूज कर रहे हो तो इंटरनेट का इस्तेमाल करने का सवाल ही नहीं आता है, क्योंकि इंटरनेट के ऊपर पब्लिक आईपी राउटेबल होता है। प्राइवेट आईपी एड्रेसेस अगर आपके पैकेट में है तो आपके पैकेट ड्रॉप हो जाते हैं, वो इंटरनेट पे ट्रैवल नहीं कर सकते, ठीक है। तो अगर आप नहीं जानते हो ज्यादा डिटेल में इंटरनेट के बारे में, तो एक बात समझ के चलिए, इंटरनेट एक ऐसा नेटवर्क है जहाँ पे पब्लिक आईपी आपको यूज करना होता है। प्राइवेट आईपी आप इंटरनेट पे इस्तेमाल नहीं कर सकते। अगर आपके पैकेट्स जो इंटरनेट पे ट्रैवल कर रहे हैं उनमें अगर प्राइवेट आईपी है, ठीक है, तो ऐसे पैकेट्स को इंटरनेट ड्रॉप कर देता है। सच ट्रैफिक इज नॉट एक्सेप्टेड ऑन इंटरनेट। ओके, सो अभी हम लोग क्या करेंगे, अगर हमें VM1 VM2 को फिर भी इंटरनेट मतलब फिर भी कम्युनिकेट कराना है यूजिंग प्राइवेट आईपीस, तो हमें एक तरीका होता है कि हम VPN कनेक्शन सेटअप कर सकते हैं। तो यहाँ पे एक डिवाइस है, Amazon प्रोवाइड्स योर डिवाइस कॉल्ड वर्चुअल प्राइवेट नेटवर्क। तो आपको एक VPG क्रिएट करना होता है। ओके, तो यहाँ पे हमारे VPGs क्रिएट होंगे दोनों VPC के। देयर विल बी VPG, I'll just call them VPG1 and this is VPG2. These VPGs are going to get connected to your respective VPCs. Okay, and if the configurations are properly done, so basically what they will do, they will create a secure channel through the internet. So again, internet comes into picture, but this time your packets that are sent from VM1 towards VM2 are securely transmitted through the internet as VPG. VPG का काम क्या है? VPG एक तरीके का VPN गेटवे है, वर्चुअल प्राइवेट गेटवे कहते हैं। इसका पहला काम क्या है? पहला काम, ये आपके ट्रैफिक को एनक्रिप्ट करता है। ये आपके ट्रैफिक को एनक्रिप्ट करता है। फर्स्टली VPG इज गोइंग टू एनक्रिप्ट योर ट्रैफिक, ओके, एंड सेकेंडली इट इज गोइंग टू एनकैप्सुलेट योर ट्रैफिक। ठीक है, व्हाट इज इट इज गोइंग टू डू इज आपके पैकेट के ऊपर ये एक एनवेलप ऐड कर देंगे, उस एनवेलप के ऊपर ये पब्लिक आईपी ऐड कर देगा। इसे कहते हैं एनकैप्सुलेशन। ठीक है, तो वर्चुअल प्राइवेट गेटवे दो काम करता है, आपके ट्रैफिक को एनक्रिप्ट करता है और फिर एनकैप्सुलेट करता है और फिर इस पैकेट को ये जो इंटरनेट है इसके थ्रू रूट करता है। जैसे ये पैकेट ऑन दी अदर साइड इस VPG पे पहुंचता है, वहां पे वो डीकैप्सुलेट होगा पैकेट, वो डिक्रिप्ट होगा और फिर VM2 के पास जाएगा। तो इन दिस केस सिक्योर या अनसिक्योर पैकेट्स आर सेंड थ्रू द इंटरनेट सिक्योरली, सेफली, बिकॉज ऑफ VPG। तो अगर आपका पैकेट सिक्योर है या अनसिक्योर है, मतलब अगर आपके प्रोटोकॉल ने आपके पैकेट को, आपके ट्रैफिक को एनक्रिप्ट किया या एनक्रिप्ट नहीं किया, ओपन टेक्स्ट है, तब भी आपका VPG क्या कर रहा है? VPG इसको एनक्रिप्ट करने वाला है, आपके पैकेट को वो एनकैप्सुलेट करने वाला है। तो इट डजंट मैटर आइदर द पैकेट इज like encrypted or not. ठीक है, it will be encrypted. If it is already encrypted, still a new layer of encryption will be added on top of it. So VPG is going to encrypt every single packet. In spite the packet was already encrypted, again VPG is going to encrypt it. So any packet going out of VPG will be in the encrypted format. It will have encapsulation in which will be the public IP. Public IPs are used on internet. Private IPs are not used on internet. And when the packet arrives at this virtual private gateway, this VPG is going to decapsulate and decrypt the packet so that VM2 can understand it. So guys, this was a better method compared to the previous method. The older method was directly connecting our virtual machines directly in front of internet, and that was not safer. Okay? In that method, like our data, there was a possibility our data could be compromised on internet if there was unsecure communication. And secondly, exposing our critical servers on internet was not the best option. ठीक है, तो ये ऑप्शन बेटर है ना, ठीक है, ये सेफर भी है, लेकिन ये एक्सपेंसिव भी है। इट इज वेरी एक्सपेंसिव। If even if you're not sending the traffic, VPG, you have created every single hour you have to pay the cost of this virtual private gateway. So you are paying a cost of one VPG over here as well as one VPG over here. Okay? And since you have established a tunnel, you are going to pay the cost of tunnel as well as finally you are even going to pay the cost of the amount of traffic that is traveling through this VPN configuration. So guys, this was very expensive. ठीक है, तो ये फॉर्मेट जो था काफी एक्सपेंसिव था। सो लाइक कस्टमर्स ऑफ AWS वर annoyed, like Amazon said, like हम आपकी दो, मतलब बहुत सारे कस्टमर्स Amazon को कंप्लेन कर रहे थे कि यार हम आपके ही दो VPCs को कनेक्ट करना चाहते हैं, इतने एक्सपेंसिव सॉल्यूशंस क्यों है? व्हाई कांट यू बिल्ड अ सिंपलर सॉल्यूशन वेयर यू कैन अलाउ अस टू कनेक्ट योर VPC, one of your VPC to another VPC? So Amazon came up with a solution called Inter-VPC peering connection. Okay, it is called as Inter-VPC peering connection. ठीक है, so if you want to build up this Inter-VPC peering connection, so first thing, this connection can be created only in between VPCs. ठीक है, तो ये ध्यान में रखिए, peering connection can be created between two VPCs. समझ में? तो peering connection can be created between two VPCs. मतलब ये है point to point to point. Clear? So guys, एक बात ध्यान में रखना, peering connection can be created in between two VPCs only. Point to point होता है. मतलब let's imagine like you have VPC 1 over here. So that's my VPC 1 and here is my VPC 2. Here is my VPC 2. So if I build this peering connection in between VPC 1 and VPC 2, so basically this is point to point. If I want to add third VPC like VPC 3 over here, VPC 3 over here, I cannot do this. This is not, multi-point configuration is not supported over here. So ये बात ध्यान में रखना. The first thing is very important. Peering connections are point to point. VPC 1 and VPC 2 only, these two VPCs can get connected to each other. In between, you cannot add VPC 3. Okay, so that is my first point about peering connection. Okay, I feel like this is clear to all of you. Okay, you can do this if required, like you can create one VPC peering connection from VPC 1 to VPC 3. Okay, so VPC 1 से VPC 3 तक का आप और एक peering connection बना सकते हो. ठीक है, अभी सेकेंड पॉइंट यहाँ पे बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. सेकेंड पॉइंट, transit not supported. Not supported. So guys, second important point is this: transit is not supported. इसका meaning, the meaning is this कि VPC 1 and VPC 3 are connected. VPC 1 and VPC 2 are also connected. So in some sense, like if you feel like if VPC 3 wants to send data to VPC 2, it can send through VPC 1 into VPC 2. So this is not something that is that happens. If this is the peering connection, it will only connect VPC 1 and VPC 3 together. So remember, the connection that is connecting VPC 1 and VPC 3 together, it will only allow communication of traffic originating in VPC 1 with VPC 3 or vice versa, VPC 3 to VPC 1. If the traffic originated in VPC 2, if it wants to go to VPC 3, so transit is not supported. So the peering connections won't allow this communication to happen. You can in fact build a dedicated peering connection here. VPC 2 और VPC 3 को डायरेक्टली आप ज्वाइन कर सकते हो. देखो पहली बात तो ये है, there can be only two VPCs at the two end of peering connections. तो only दो VPC के बीच में बनता है, point to point है, and transit is not supported. ठीक है, तो आप VPC 1 से ट्रैफिक को रूट करके जो ट्रैफिक VPC 2 से आ रही थी उसे रूट करके VPC 3 में नहीं बेच सकते हो. आपको 2 से सेंड करना है. इफ there is some traffic over here, you can send the traffic over this connection over here towards VPC 3. समझ में है ना? Clear? So this is really very important. So peering connection can be created between two VPCs and it is point to point, and transit is not supported in peering connection. Okay, fine. So next point is this, third point. So peering connection can be created in between VPCs of same region or different region. ठीक है, as well as your VPCs can be in same account or different account. So guys, remember, your VPC peering connection can be created in between VPCs of same region or different region, and these said VPCs can be in same account and or different account. ठीक है, it can be in same account or different account. So your VPCs can be in same account but two different regions. It can be in two different accounts, two different regions. Okay, it can happen anywhere. So guys, ये 3 point याद रखिए. Just remember 3 points. Peering connection can be created between two VPCs. Okay, only two VPCs. Point to point होते हैं. Multi-point not supported. Transit not supported. Peering connection can be created in between VPCs. Okay, of same region or different region. Can be in same account or different account. Okay, so these are really important points that you need to remember. Okay, next thing. Fourth point. Now fourth point is this कि आपका जो VPC peering connection होता है. Okay, so peering connection is free of cost. ठीक है, तो पेयरिंग कनेक्शन बना के रखो दो वीपीसीज के बीच में, वो फ्री होगा. आप 1 साल के लिए बनाओ, 10 साल के लिए बनाओ, दैट इज फ्री. तो यू कैन हैव अ पेयरिंग कनेक्शन क्रिएटेड इन बिटवीन टू वीपीसीज. ठीक है, सेम अकाउंट डिफरेंट अकाउंट, सेम रीजन डिफरेंट रीजन, दैट डजंट मैटर्स. ठीक है, पेयरिंग कनेक्शन इज फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट. पेयरिंग कनेक्शन बनाने के कोई पैसे नहीं लगते. देयर इज एब्सोल्युटली नो कॉस्ट ऑफ बिल्डिंग पेयरिंग कनेक्शन. You can have a peering connection created in same account, different account, or you can have your VPCs in same region or different region. Creating peering connection is completely free. Now here is the catch. ठीक है, data transfer. Data transfer. ठीक है, over peering connection ठीक है, data transfer over peering connection between VPCs of same region as well as between VPCs of different region. तो in case of same region ना, ठीक है, in case of same region it is going to be free, and the difference is here. तो यहाँ पे ये payable होगा, and that will depend upon the amount of data. So guys, data transfer over peering connection, ठीक है, between VPCs of same region is free. Okay, and data transfer over peering connection between VPCs of different region is payable. तो account same है या different है, that is not important. Okay, you can have two VPCs in the same account in the same region. Data transfer is free. You can have two VPCs in different account but in same region. So maybe like I have one VPC in my account and you have your one VPC in your account. So we have two different VPCs in two different accounts, but they both are created in Virginia region. So if we create a peering connection in between these two VPCs, the data transfer over this peering connection is going to be free. And finally, like data transfer in between VPCs of different region. Okay, same account, different account, doesn't matter. Amount of data that you transfer, accordingly you have to pay the cost. So guys, you have to remember, there are 5 points that you have to remember. Last point I'm telling you. So until now we have just covered 5 points. Okay, remember this, we have covered 4 points, I'm sorry. And the 5th point is very simple. If you want to build peering connection, okay, so IPv4, IP cider blocks, let's say IP cider block of the two VPCs should be non-conflicting or non-overlapping. So remember this, IP cider block of the two VPCs should be non-conflicting or non-overlapping if you want to build a peering connection. ठीक है, तो तभी VPCs में peering connection बन सकता है. So if you are trying to build a peering connection in between the VPCs, okay, in between the two VPCs, then remember the IP CIDR block of the two VPCs should be non-conflicting or non-overlapping. So guys, I have just talked about a few points about inter-VPC peering connection. Okay, so these are some of the points over here. Okay, so I think like this is clear to everybody. Okay, so now we'll be starting to build peering connection. Okay, now we are starting to build peering connection. So now we'll be in the process of building peering connection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly create the topology in front of you, and we'll start with that topology. Okay, fine. So we'll quickly go into AWS and we'll go on to VPC option. So here I'm on to VPC. Fine. So I'm into North Virginia. If you remember in the previous live lecture, I have created a VPC. I've renamed it. I've called it VPC1 for simplicity. And VPC1 is created in North Virginia. It has this IP version 4 CIDR block. So I'll quickly just go here and draw the set VPC. So here we have one VPC. We have one VPC over here. So that is my VPC1 over here. And this is in Virginia. This is in Virginia region. This VPC is using 10.1.0.0/16. This is the IP CIDR block of VPC1. Okay. I'll be having one more VPC for this practical. If I just create a split over here. So guys, I do have one more VPC over here. So the other VPC is VPC2, and this is in Mumbai. And its CIDR block is 192.168.1. I'm sorry, it is 192.168.0.0/16. So I have two different VPC. One is VPC1, one is VPC2. Both the VPCs are in different regions. One is in Virginia, the other one is in Mumbai. Okay. And in these VPCs, for example, let's say I'll first show you VPC in Mumbai. So if I just quickly open up my Mumbai region in front of you, I'll open it in a new tab. So here I opened my VPC into a new tab. So that is my VPC2 over here. So I have Mumbai region or Mumbai region mein I have VPC2, and this is 192.168.0.0/16. So that is my VPC in Mumbai region. Abhi, in Virginia, if I show you my subnet, I have two subnets over here. If I just filter down my VPC1 that ends up with 2090.283, if I just want to filter down using my VPC ID 90283. So in this VPC, that is VPC1, I have two subnet, FE1 and FE2. I'll just use this subnet over here, FE1. So I'll just draw this over here. So I have one subnet in Virginia region. So that is my subnet in Virginia. So that is my front end one, FE1. Okay. And front end one does contains a virtual machine. I did create a virtual machine over here. So if I just take you to EC2, and open it in a new tab. So here you can find my EC2 tab, and under instances you will find like I have VM1, and if I select VM1 and take you towards networking settings of VM1, you can see this virtual machine was created in FE1. The subnet is FE1 and the VPC is VPC1. So VM1 belongs over here, FE1, and it has this public IP address 54.221. So basically FE1 carries a virtual machine over here. So that is my VM1. So here is my VM1. Okay. And VM1 has public as well as private IP. Fine. It has public and private IP. And this VPC also has an internet gateway. So I'll just quickly draw an internet gateway over here. So here is internet gateway. So that is IGW, internet gateway. and this internet gateway is properly attached to the VPC. So internet gateway is attached to the VPC. And in the routing table, actually, firstly, I'll show you the internet gateway as well. So if I just take you over here towards internet gateway, so remember the region is Virginia. So we are into Virginia. I have internet gateway 1, and this is attached to my VPC 1. So the same I have done over here. Internet gateway 1 is attached to VPC 1. Okay. And internet gateway is in turn connected to the internet, the real internet. So that is the internet for us. So here we have the internet. Okay. So the routing table in this VPC, we do have a main route table. Okay, that is my main route table. The main route table has a route of internet. So internet, as I have already told you, for network engineers is 0.0.0.0/0. So that is internet for a network engineer. So the way to reach internet is via internet gateway. So I'll just quickly show you the main routing table in my VPC 1. If I just take you to route table, so here I have the main route table for VPC 1. Okay, this is the main route table. Okay, so here you can see I'm highlighting it over here. This is the main route table for VPC 1. Okay, and in this route table, under the route section, we have the route of internet pointing towards an internet gateway. Okay, so guys, this VPC is properly configured. It has internet connection, everything. Whereas on the Mumbai side, we have no internet connection. So the problem in the Mumbai side is this: Mumbai's VPC has no internet connection, no internet. It has one subnet here. So in Mumbai, we do have one In Mumbai, we do have one subnet over here. That is my subnet 1. And in this subnet, I have a virtual machine, VM2. And in VM2, we have only private IP. We don't have any public IP. Public IP is not there on VM2. We only have private IP. Just really quickly see this. So in Mumbai region, if I just change my tab towards Mumbai region, here we are into Mumbai region where we have VPC2. In Mumbai, under VPC2, we only have one subnet, subnet 1. So that is the only subnet created for VPC2. Second important thing is, under internet gateway, we don't have any internet gateway attached to VPC2. We just have one internet gateway, and this internet gateway that I'm selecting over here is attached to my default VPC. And in the route table, under the main route table for VPC2, we don't have any route of internet. We don't have any route of internet, 0. So basically, we don't have any internet configuration on the VPC in Mumbai. Whereas we do have a virtual machine in Mumbai. Under EC2, we can find that virtual machine, VM2. So I'll just quickly take you to the second virtual machine that is in Mumbai. That is VM2. Okay, so this is VM2 and this is in Mumbai region. Here we can find this. And in the networking section, you'll find that it doesn't have any public IP address. It only has a private IP. Okay, it only has a private IP. And it is created in VPC2 and subnet 1. So the thing is, I want this VM1 and VM2 to talk to each other. Okay, so VM1 has public IP, it has private IP. VM1, matlab I'm talking about this virtual machine. I'm talking about this virtual machine, this one. It is in a VPC where you have the proper internet configuration. Whereas this second virtual machine, VM2, it doesn't have public IP. It is in a VPC where you don't have internet connectivity. If you want these two VMs to talk to each other, you'll have to create a bridge in between the two VPCs. You'll have to somehow connect these VPCs together. You'll have to do this. You have to build a bridge here. That is the peering connection. So peering connection we have seen, it can be created in between VPC in the same region or different region. Here we have two different VPCs. Both are in different region. VPC1 is in Virginia. VPC2 is in Mumbai. Okay, we have two different VPCs in two different regions. Okay, so we want these two VPCs to talk to each other. हमें इन दोनों को connect करना है. We'll build a peering connection here. ठीक है? अच्छा. तो peering connection, अगर आप successful peering connection configure करना चाहते हो, उसके 3 steps होते हैं. पहला तो होता है peering connection build करो. तो even before we build the peering connection, हम पहले VM1 को SSH करेंगे. We'll just create a connection to VM1 over the internet. We'll SSH go into the virtual machine 1 And from here, we'll try to ping VM2 on its private IP. And let's see, first of all, if that connection happens or not. Okay. So I'll just quickly launch my terminal here. Okay, I'm on my terminal, and from here, I'm going to do SSH using a key pair that is in my OneDrive in the class directory, in the keys directory. This is the key. Okay, to a virtual machine that is based on Amazon Linux EC2-user @ and I want to paste the public IP of my VM1. So VM1 ka public IP is here 54.221. I'll copy this. So here I copied this public IP. I'm going to paste it onto my terminal, enter, and very quickly we should be connecting to our virtual machine. Yes, I want to establish the connection accepting the fingerprint. And here we are connected to our first virtual machine, VM1. From here, I'm going to try to ping the second virtual machine. So second virtual machine is my VM2. It is over here, this virtual machine, VM2, VM2. It only has a private IP. It has no public IP. So if I copy this private IP and if I try to paste it over here and try to ping, it should not work. Okay. So first thing, like you can come up with a theory like VM2 by default, it is not going to allow ICMP traffic. Ping by default uses ICMP. So ping is a program that we use to test network connection. Okay. Behind the scenes, ping is going to use ICMP, right? ICMP is a protocol used by ping. And by default, EC2 instances don't allow ICMP traffic. But what I've done, under the security groups of second virtual machine, here we can go to the VM2, and in its security group over here under security, you can see I have excluded ICMP traffic. You can see all ICMP traffic from anywhere is permitted. So ये अगर आप notice करोगे, I have created an exclusion. I have created an exclusion for ICMP communication. Any type of ping can work with my virtual machine. So the thing is, as I don't have reachability to my second VPC because I don't have the bridge in between the two VPCs. Here, the problem is this: in this topology, I don't have the bridge in between the two VPCs. If I build the bridge, then the data can travel from this side to the other side. So remember, until now, okay, any ICMP traffic that I create from VM1, it is not able to reach VM2 because there is no route, there is no way to reach the second virtual machine that is in VPC2. Okay, so we have to create the bridge that is called peering connection. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into into my first region, that is my Virginia region over here. Under VPC, I'll just copy my VPC ID of first virtual machine or of my VPC1. So guys, you can either create a peering connection from Virginia to Mumbai or vice versa, from Mumbai to Virginia. It is one and the same. You're just going to join both the VPCs together. Okay. So your peering connection can be initiated from Virginia's VPC or it can be initiated from Mumbai's VPC. It is not compulsory. You just have to go to Virginia first or you have to go to Mumbai first. From any one of the sides, you can initiate the peering connection. I'm going to go on to VPC1. I'll copy my VPC ID of VPC1 and into the second side in Mumbai region, I'm going to an option called peering connection. In this list, if you see, there is an option called peering connection. Okay. So here I'm going into peering connection. Under peering connection, you don't see any peering connection. It says no peering connection found. We can create a new peering connection. So we'll call this Mumbai to Virginia. Mumbai to Virginia. Okay. And now we are going to create a peering connection from a VPC in Mumbai, that is VPC2. So from which VPC in Mumbai do you want to initiate the peering connection? So basically here we are selecting VPC2 is the VPC from where I want to initiate the peering connection to another VPC in my account. Okay, to another VPC in my account, and it is in another region. We know the destination region of our VPC1 is Virginia, and here we can paste the VPC ID. Imagine the other VPC was in a different account. So you require the account ID of the other account, which you can find from here. So if you have a client organization with whom you are going to build a peering connection, you have to ask your client to provide their account ID. They can just click their account name over here and they can find their account ID. And this information of their account ID has to be supplied by your client to you so that you can put their account ID over here. And they will also have to tell you what is their VPC ID. and which region is their VPC. Accordingly, you can fill the form accordingly. Okay? But now, both our VPCs are in the same account. So both my VPCs, VPC2 and VPC1 is in the same account. So from VPC2, I'm building a peering connection to another VPC in my account, but in a different region. That region is Virginia, and this is the VPC ID in Virginia. 283, 90283, that is VPC1 over here. 90283, here we can find the VPC ID, which is already highlighted here in Virginia. Okay, so I'm going to send a request here. So here, create peering connection, you can click over here, and it is going to initiate a request. So it can be like you are an administrator on your AWS VPC only for Mumbai region. In the same account for Virginia, there is a separate administrator. It can be something like this. So Amazon ensures like whoever is the administrator in the other region, when he goes to peering connection under his region, he'll be finding there is a request. So just we'll wait for a minute. It may take some time to get loaded. So here we can find there is a request, okay, pending acceptance. You can see like there is a request, okay, which is in a status of pending acceptance. You have not accepted this request, okay. So you can see all the things like, for example, peering connection ID. It will be exactly same over here. If you see peering connection ID, it is ending on DBB1, and here as well it is ending on DBB1. So when you select this, and you can go into action to accept the request. So here it will find requester VPC is this one, okay, and this is the acceptor VPC. This is your VPC, VPC1, which is okay, acceptor VPC is VPC1, which is your VPC. Okay, requester is this VPC. It is in Mumbai region. Requester region is Mumbai. Acceptor region, your region is in Virginia, and requester is using this CIDR block. So guys, here you can see some details. The owner, requester owner ID, acceptor owner ID. So this request has been generated within the same account. Okay, from Mumbai region, from this VPC, which has this CIDR block, to our VPC1, which is in Virginia. Okay, so this gives you much details about the same peering connection request. If you are good with this, you can accept the request. And you can name this, you can call it like Virginia to Mumbai. Okay. So guys, we've called this Virginia to Mumbai, and vice versa, we have given the name Mumbai to Virginia over here. Now, its status is still initiating request. If I do a refresh here, Control F5, if I do a hard refresh on this page, you can find that this status is active. Even here, if you see, the status is still in provisioning state. If I do a refresh, it should be in active state. Okay. So now, since my peering connection is built in between the two VPCs, still the communication won't happen. If I cancel this, Control C, and if I try to connect one more time, if I try to do the communication one more time, the communication is not going to happen. Okay. The problem here is you have created the bridge, but you have not configured routing here. Okay. So remember, I told you there are 3 steps of peering connection. The first step is to build the peering connection systematically and accept the peering connection request. That is the first step. Okay. Second step is accepting, configuring the routing in your peering connection. That is the second step, to configure routing. Okay. So we'll be configuring routing in both the sites. So first of all, I'll go to Virginia. Under Virginia, here we are into Virginia region. In the Virginia region, I'm going on to my route table. I'll choose my main route table. Here we have a main route table. So I'll go on to the main route table, and in here, under the main route table, I'm going on to routes option over here. Under the route option, I'm going to edit the route. Here we have an edit button to edit the route. I'm going to add a route. I'm going to mention the network in Mumbai, that is 192.168.0.0/16. To reach this network, I have to go to through a peering connection, and this peering connection is the Virginia to Mumbai connection. Okay, and save changes. So guys, that is my first routing configuration. Similarly, on the other side, I have to create a reply link over here, reply connectivity over here. So under the routing table in Mumbai region, now earlier we configured Virginia, now we are into Mumbai region. Into Mumbai region, you choose your main routing table for VPC2. You can call it like this is the main route table, main RT for VPC2. Okay, so you can give it a proper name. And this is the main routing table for VPC2. Under the root section, you can edit the routing table and you can add the root. So the side of Virginia is 10.1.0.0/16. That is the network in Virginia. And in order to reach Virginia, I'm going to go through a peering connection. In this list, you have to choose the destination is going to be a peering connection, and this is the specific connection, Mumbai to Virginia. And finally, save changes. So guys, if I just see now, my communication should occur. If I just try from this side to the other side, if I do enter, so you can see you are getting a reply. Earlier, you were not getting a reply. This time, you are able to get reply. Okay. So as I told you, there are 3 steps in building a peering connection. Okay. The rules of peering connection, I have already told you. So I've already showed you the rules for peering connection. These are the rules for peering connection. Okay. Now, in order to build a peering connection, there are 3 important steps. So I'll just quickly show you the steps for building peering connection. Okay. 1 second. I'll just adjust the size of my page. Okay. So steps of building peering connection. Steps of peering connection. So step number 1, create relevant, required, you can say anything like create the required exclusions in the instance security group and operating system firewall. Guys, just remember one thing, like if you are creating exclusions, okay, just creating exclusions on your security group will not be sufficient. If you have the inside operating system firewall, for example, let's say you are using Red Hat. So in Red Hat, you have your firewall D. If you are using Ubuntu, you have UFW firewall. If you are using Windows, you have Windows Defender firewall. So if your firewall is configured, if your firewall is enabled, so just by creating exclusion in security group doesn't means like your firewall is also configured. You have to check with your firewall settings as well. So the thing is, you have to create the required exclusions for your communication in the required virtual machines, security group, and the operating system firewall. That is the first step. Second step. Create the peering connection. And finally, third step is configure routing for both the VPCs. So guys, remember, these are going to be the 3 rules that you have to follow. Okay. So these are really important. These are very important rules that you have to follow in order to configure inter-VPC peering connection. Okay. The notes that are required to create peering connection, I have given all the notes in this lecture. Okay. So if I just scroll down, so here are the required notes about VPC peering connection, the rules for creating peering connection. Here you can see all the rules. Here you can see all the 5 rules for establishing the peering connection. As well, here you have all the rules about setting up the peering connection properly. Okay. So guys, in this lecture, I have shown you how to systematically set up inter-VPC peering connection. Okay. So I think like by watching this lecture and setting up the lab properly, you should be able to establish the peering connections for your said networks very systematically. If you have not seen my previous lecture of how to build a VPC, I will strongly suggest you go to that lecture, first watch that lecture, and then come to this lecture. If you have enjoyed this content, if you like this video, then subscribe to this channel and hit the like button. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching. Good day. Bye.